Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our next installment in the Arab African Mining Conference. It's a fantastic and pleasure really to welcome Honourable Francis Gatare, who's the CEO of the Rwandan Mines, Petroleum and Gas Board, and Lord Dolar Popat, who has very kindly agreed to interview the Honourable Minister, who will be giving a presentation for us now. So without further ado, Honourable Francis, please do take us through your presentation. We're very excited to hear the latest developments in mining in Rwanda. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone, for having me. I am indeed honored to be able to participate once again in this Africa Arab Mining Summit. And I'm very honored once again to meet Lord Dolar Popat, a very distinguished gentleman and very good friend of Rwanda and East Africa, very knowledgeable about our region. What an honor, again, my Lord, to have to share this platform with you. Thank you very much for accepting to do this for us. And so this presentation I'm sharing with you is about the opportunities in Rwanda in the mining sector and the opportunities for doing business with our country. Because indeed, Rwanda is an emerging destination for investment in the mining sector, as you will see for yourselves. So I give you 6 reasons why Rwanda is an attractive destination for your investments into the mining sector. Straightforward, Rwanda offers a very supportive and flexible legal and regulatory framework for the development of the mining sector. We have recently reviewed the regulatory framework, making it very attractive and competitive among the best in the world. Secondly, we have a world-class tin, tantalum, tungsten mining province that has a lot of proven resources with already a number of operating companies that you would be joining to leverage these, what we call technology minerals that are in high demand today in the technology-driven economies. Thirdly, in Rwanda, we have a lot of untapped gold potential that we have been undertaking exploration and making some significant discoveries that require investment for the exploitation, processing, and marketing of these resources. Fourth is that Rwanda has also been exploring battery minerals, particularly made good discoveries of lithium, which now we are looking for partnerships to begin to do detailed exploration as well as exploitation. Fifth is that in Rwanda, we have been putting in place a modern exploration framework, which is driven by government investments in partnership with world-class private companies, some of whom are known to the UK, particularly SRK and others. Lastly, is that we have been undertaking an ambitious consolidation of small-scale and medium-scale mining operations into large projects that are conducive for international investment capital. And we will be showcasing some of these projects to you for consideration. And so in Rwanda, we also have a very simplified but interlocking regulatory framework that promotes transparency in our mining sector. And so 3 things that we do. One is that we have a sustainable mining regime that ensures compliance with environment, safety, and health regulations, while on the other hand, we also have a mechanism that ensures transparency in the chain of custody of minerals from mine to processing to trading and refinery. This ensures that Rwanda's minerals are 100% conflict-free and they can be traced to the miners through the processes all the way to the smelters. Let me say that we have also simplified the regulatory institutions that govern the mining sector to the extent that as a mine operator in Rwanda, you are interacting with only 3 institutions in our country. Obviously, the Rwanda Mines, Petroleum and Gas Board that I head is the primary regulatory institution for the resources sector. In addition, also the Rwanda Development Board, which is a single window support facility for all businesses in the country, that is for investment promotion, for the care of businesses, ensuring that the entire life cycle of businesses is supported under one roof. That's the Rwanda Development Board. And lastly, the Rwanda Environment Management Agency, which is our core partner in ensuring compliance and adherence to the sustainable development of the mining sector. So only 3 institutions working very closely are responsible for the implementation, regulation, and initiation of the policy and regulatory framework that govern the natural resources sector of Rwanda. We are obviously supported and work in collaboration with some of the international institutions, including the UK DFID, which is a major supporter to our work, as well as the international mineral associations like the TIC for tantalum and the International Tin Association. Rwanda is also committed to the development of the sustainable mineral resources, because obviously sustainability is very important for everyone. We know that the world we all live in have got to share it, and therefore the sustainability of the resources and how we use them is very important. And so our legal and regulatory framework is built around that, and we also work very closely with our regional as well as African collaborators in the implementation of the Africa mining vision and an ambition that also aspires to create regional hubs for mineral services, processing and beneficiation. It's in that regard that Rwanda has put in place a strategy to establish ourselves as the hub for the Eastern and Central Africa region in terms of the services, processing, and beneficiation of minerals. We have recently revised our mining code, as I mentioned earlier, to support the growth of investments into the sector. And a few things come out that I would like to highlight for you that were changed in the new mining code. One is that the new code promotes scale and sustainability in the mining sector. While we have a special place for small scale and artisanal miners, we have developed a mining code that provides a framework for incentivizing large scale mining operations and gives incentives for consolidation of previously small scale mining operations towards larger scale. Number 2, also in the new mining code, is that it facilitates a transition to the use of more modern and efficient mining methods. Given the background that we have come from, where a lot of our mining operations were rather small, medium scale, the new mining code provides incentives for the transition towards the use of more modern mining technologies and expertise that ensures efficiency and effectiveness, which promotes sustainability of our resources. Also, the new mining code has been revised to encourage greater foreign direct investment. While we have a very strong domestic investment community in the mining sector, the revised code provides greater incentives for international investment capital to join hands with the domestic investment community so that we can increase the growth of this sector. We believe that partnership is very key to achieve this. We have also improved the investment code to make sure that incentives which provide financial as well as tax-related incentives for the profitability of mining operations. Moreover, the new code also promotes value addition, processing, and increased revenue to the domestic stakeholders. We had to make sure that there is shared value not only to the investors, but also to the communities as well as to the treasury. And so the new mining code ensures that that shared value is also secured. Lastly, we have promoted domestic industries, particularly in the processing and beneficiation, towards creating a regional hub in partnership with our neighboring countries. And so we believe that this new code is very modern, it's agile, it's incentivizing investments, but also promoting operations at larger scale from a regional perspective as well. So we have simplified licensing procedures and streamlined the different types of licenses. For example, now the exploration license has been streamlined to give it 4 years, renewable continuously as long as the exploration requirements are still there, captured under blocks of 400 hectares. Investors can apply for as many blocks as they have reason to want to explore on. This has been also delineated from other types of licenses. With respect to the mining or mineral exploitation licenses, we have streamlined and put categories differentiating between large-scale mining, medium-scale mining, as well as small-scale mining operations. Excuse me. Each of these categories of license also has corresponding term periods in which the large-scale mining, for example, has up to 15 years and can be extended for as long as the mineral deposits are still available. Moreover, also, each of these mining license categories have different sizes, and investors can apply for as many blocks as you find reasonably necessary for your business interest. Let's say that transparency in the natural resources sector is very important, and not only transparency towards the national authorities and other partners, but transparency to the international stakeholders as well. And so Rwanda's mining policy framework focuses on optimizing financial benefit to the investors, but also providing transparency in taxes, in royalties, transparency in the sourcing of materials, and transparency in sharing contracts between government and mining operators. We think that this is very important for the due diligence of the mineral resources and for ensuring that the chain of custody of the minerals is also known. This particularly for our region, which has had a history of conflict-related instabilities. So we want to make sure that minerals coming from Rwanda are 100% conflict-free. But we have also streamlined the tax responsibilities under 3 categories. One, the corporate income tax, which is the tax on profit declared annually, currently standing at 30%. Secondly, we have a royalty-based regime for all the base metals established at 4% on gross value. And lastly, royalties on precious metals, which is at 6%. Precious metals meaning gold, diamonds, and gemstones. We also have a robust infrastructure network in our country to support businesses and ensure low cost for operations of our mining activities. This includes the road network in Rwanda. I'm sure Lord Popat can attest to this. The road network in our country not only is impeccable, but also reaches far deep into the rural communities where mining operations exist. Secondly, the electric grid network that has been established, and we work very closely with the utility company to make sure that where mining operations begin, power distribution can also be extended to reach wherever it might be. We have a wide availability of water, whether it's piped water as well as natural water, that ensures that processing is possible no matter how remote the operations may be. And so we think that all these infrastructure networks are important for ensuring relatively cost-effective mining operations. Moreover, Rwanda is linked to 2 international port terminals, both in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, as well as Mombasa in Kenya, which provide international cargo as well as shipment of inputs in and out of our country. Increasingly, many international airline companies are operating in Rwanda and make it a lot easier to travel in and out of our country. Obviously, the current COVID situation is a unique disruptive circumstance that we are all facing, but we know and are confident that this will also come to the end and we shall have our status quo back to normal. Talking about COVID-19, since the resurgence of COVID-19 cases in our region and our country, we have put in place special guidelines to make sure that mining in Rwanda is not disrupted as a result. And so we have so far recorded very few cases in our country, but no case so far in the mining industry. And this is because of the special attention that we have given to the mining sector. As a regulatory institution, we have consulted widely and continue to do so with stakeholders in the sector, as well as with the Ministry of Health, to put in place additional measures to help our mining operators. These new measures include regularly inspecting and ensuring that there is adequate tunnel ventilation where mining operations are taking place. We made sure that there is reduced activities, thereby de-densification of people in the operations. We have continued to put in place screening and testing mechanisms at the mine sites daily, especially checking for symptoms, but also on a regular basis, actually testing to see if there are any potential COVID cases in the operations. Furthermore, we have required all miners to put in place tracing programs so that whoever comes to the mining site can be traced. In the event that there is a positive case, then all contacts can be traced and known. Moreover, all workers are required to work in shifts so that they don't have to work in large concentrations. And we have leveraged the fact that the mining sector is very conversant with the use of personal protective equipment, PPEs, and this has been very helpful for them to adapt to the use of personal protective equipment for health purposes, because they are no strangers to the use of masks, they are no strangers to the use of gloves, they are no strangers to the use of overalls, and so all these additional PPEs have come as natural to them as the previous ones, and this has helped us to secure the mining sector to continue to be operational despite the disruptions that have occurred, for example, in the logistics, transport, and supply of raw materials, but the production has not been interrupted that much. Let me give you a hint on who is actually in Rwanda operating in the mining sector. Some of the companies that you may know, including Tinco, Piran, Power Resource Group, Mauridi, and others, including some that you may not know. So as investors considering doing business in Rwanda, you'll be joining a community of other operators in our country. We have been carrying out geological exploration as a country to provide a baseline of information that is the starting point for any consideration for investment. And I would like to walk you through some of the information that we have collected so far. And these can be found anywhere in the country. The good thing about Rwanda is that the sheer size of it and the mineralization we have means that there is widespread occurrence of minerals and precious metals across the country. People are surprised when we tell them that there are mining operations happening in the outskirts of our capital city, Kigali, as well. But it's true, there is mining activity almost in every district of our country. And so what we have is a world-class mineralization of what we call 3Ts, or technology metals. These include tantalum, which is very well known in its applications in technology, tungsten, as well as tin. All these can be found across the country. Moreover, we also have an abundance of precious metals and gemstones, particularly gold, as well as the color gemstones. And Rwanda is at the center of a regional gold trend that I'm going to show you shortly, with deposits that cut across from the west through to the northeast of our country. And this trend continues across our country and beyond in the entire region. Moreover, our gemstones have become very highly appreciated by the jewelers around the world. We have recently been exploring with the battery metals, particularly focusing on lithium, and much of our country is spread across with lithium in high concentration. The good thing about our lithium is it comes in the spodumene rocks, which is in high concentration and a lot easier for processing purposes. But it also comes with a host of other rare earth minerals, including some of the highly sought after rare earth elements that currently are at the heart of some of the international geopolitical interests around the world. And so all these are opportunities for investment with additional exploration. So let me say that the geological information we have been capturing is currently stored under an online platform that is called the Geological Information Management and Cadastre System. So now it's accessible online, easy, free, and on a one-stop center approach in a digital fashion. So we believe that this data will potentially lead to upgrading the mining prospects and continue to create additional information. Moreover, the private companies that do exploration also do contribute to this online database voluntarily, I have to say. However, the legal framework also provides a mechanism under which some of the private geological information coming out of exploration project can be made public when time comes and licenses are retired, expire, or when their owners wish to share them with the general public. So this facility is a very important tool for the access of geological and mining cadastral information of Rwanda. We have ongoing value addition activities in the country, given that we have an aspiration to continue to grow Rwanda's industry as a hub for the processing of mineral regions, regional minerals. We have two already established smelters. One is the Luna smelter for 14. We have a refinery for gold and also a tantalum refinery under construction. This tantalum refinery is particularly important because as a conference, a summit that is being organized in the UK, that it's particularly, the particular origin of investment is from the United Kingdom, and the partners are processing tantalum hydroxide, tantalum pentoxide, niobium pentoxide, K salts, and also capturing uranium oxide, or the so-called yellow cake. This is a very important strategic investment. However, there are new mineral processing opportunities that we are promoting for additional investment. One is a refinery for tungsten. We currently produce lots of tungsten that is being exported in its concentrate form, and we are seeking partnership with investors in that regard. Secondly, we are looking for partners in the gemstone cutting and polishing space because of the detailed and long list of gemstones that are produced in Rwanda and in the region. I must add also that in our mining operations, we require a lot of equipment and technologies, and for this purpose, we are requiring partnership with investors or non-operators in the mining equipment and technology space. I must say that for all these projects, we are also happy to consider a PPP framework, meaning a potential joint venture between private investors and the government. I talked about the regional mineralization in our country, particularly on gold, and I want to give you this visual illustration of how far the deposits go, both in our country as well as in our region. We have three gold regions that we are currently considering for licensing. One in the Nyungwe region to the southwest, Miyove region to the northeast, and the Byumba region to the center of the country. All these areas we have already done government level prospecting, and we have sufficient knowledge of where the deposits are. These are 23 different blocks across the country that we have already earmarked for licensing purposes. Some have very detailed economic studies available with resource estimates, including drilling and bulk sampling. Those are color shaded in green. And the orange ones, we call them the intermediate information blocks, where we already have done a lot of trenching to capture the ground geophysics. We have carried out geochemistry analysis of samples captured from stream sediments and from the soil samples and other things. Moreover, we also have a countrywide mapping for the geophysics, which was carried out through airborne geophysics survey. Entire country is mapped out, giving detailed information about it. So we think that all this information should be helpful in determining where a particular investor should be looking to partner with us for licensing purposes. We have several blocks that have been consolidated from small and medium scale mining operators. These blocks, some of them are already being operated on by small operators, but they have put themselves together and they are looking for international investment partners. And these blocks have dominance of either tin, tantalum, wolfram, or also lithium and other related battery metals. And so we want to encourage international investors with capital to deploy that are keen to have professional operations using modern methods to partner with these small scale, medium scale operators in Rwanda that have consolidated themselves and looking for partnership. I must add that we are also carrying out exploration of oil and gas on the western border of our country in the Lake Kivu, where we already have operations that leverage methane gas deposits in the lake. We are carrying out exploration for oil and gas, and in the coming few months, we are going to be carrying out 2D and 3D seismic surveys, and eventually some exploratory drilling. All this sponsored by the government of Rwanda, and we are looking to be partnering with private contractual operators in this space. I must say that we should be looking out for publication of tenders in the international media over the next couple of months. The petroleum sector has got many additional opportunities, particularly focused on methane gas exploitation and commercialization. We have abundance of carbon dioxide in that lake, which is together with the methane gas. And there are scientific projects that we have done, feasibility studies for how to commercialize this gas. Moreover, we also have petroleum exploration commercialization, as mentioned earlier. There are some companies already working in this space, and there are opportunities for infrastructure development, particularly pipeline development and compression of natural gas for distribution to the end users, both households as well as industries. I want to thank you very much for your kind attention and look forward to hear from you and to receive your comments on our presentation. And indeed, we do believe that Rwanda provides a compelling and attractive opportunity for doing business in the mining sector. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Francis, thank you for that amazing presentation of that slide that you just went through. In fact, the purpose of seeing you and talking to you today and asking a question is just to get an update. I just want to see that we carry on with the momentum we started when you came to England, you know, a roundtable conference in London we had in Parliament, and then we had the mining forum in October of last year. And because of COVID, I don't want to see that I lose contact with the chief executive of mining companies, and I want to really send them a real update. And your slide and your presentation, hopefully Hussein can give me a CD or something, which I'm going to write to all of them and give them an update. We don't want COVID to sort of, you know, kill the momentum that we started so well. And from what we discussed and what I knew during the roundtable conference and during the the mining forum in Kigali, a lot of things have moved on. And my purpose was to ask you a number of questions, and I think your slide have answered most of them. So it's amazing you made a lot of progress, you know, in particular in the area of you know, geological information. I remember that information we had during the conference wasn't up to date. I'm glad it's updated now, and we can get up-to-date information. And you know, you also now say the tax incentives available, or the tax rate and royalties for companies paying 30% corporation tax and 4% and 6% on royalties. You know, the 6% for gold and diamond and others, whilst the 3 Ts will be at 4%, which is pretty good and very attractive. Obviously, there were concerns at the time, both here and during our conference in Kigali about the infrastructure, where, you need, it's quite heavy and it needs to be transported by road and then by ship. But I think you mentioned that we are now updating, I guess you're updating your roads and railways are being connected very soon. So let me start with that question. Of course, the flight, London, Kigali, London. And me and Yamini have been campaigning for 3 years to get slots at Heathrow. And now from this week, we've got slots at Heathrow. So hopefully Heathrow, London, flying to Kigali. And I'm hoping that eventually post-COVID will become 7 days a week. So that's a very good achievement. And of course, we get quite a lot of fruit and veg using those planes, the cargo that comes within those planes. So that's really helpful. And we want to see that we do more business. We love Kigali, we like Kigali, you're all our friends. And this is not just my governing party, but also the Labour Party. Tony Blair and David Cameron were hugely involved with your very outstanding leader, President Kagame. So we want to see this momentum going on. My job is to encourage a trade and investment of one way of getting out of poverty and making Rwanda a middle income country, which is nearly there. So I'm glad we are meeting today. I'm glad we are talking and discussing. So let's talk about firstly about the infrastructure. Just give us more update on those. I know you talked about using Dar es Salaam, maybe Tanga or Mombasa as a port, which is good. Tell us more about the roads and the railway side of it. How far are we on that?
Thank you very much, Lord Popat, again for your comments. And I must congratulate you and our High Commissioner in London for securing Rwanda's landing slot at Heathrow International Airport. This is a great breakthrough, despite, of course, the COVID circumstances, but this will pass. And I think by doing that, it will become a lot more convenient, and with increased frequency, the routes between United Kingdom and East Africa will increase a lot more. I must congratulate you for doing that. Secondly, yes, indeed, we have been streamlining the tax incentives. And I must say, in addition to streamlining the corporate income tax at 30% and royalties at 4% and 6% on gold and gemstone, we also have reviewed the investment code, providing incentives for exploration purposes. And now in the new investment code, companies that carry out exploration projects can actually defer their losses, write off their losses for up to 10 years. This obviously is based on the appreciation that exploration companies don't make very much money until when they have made discoveries. And even when they make discoveries, often they don't make much money until after they have started mining operations. And that sometimes exploration companies are not the ones that go into mineral development. They sometimes have to get partners or to trade their exploration findings. And so these new incentives of loss carry forward for up to 10 years is to make sure that companies which are in exploration, or even companies which are in mine development, can continue to invest in exploration as a cost, knowing that they can continue to carry it forward as a loss. So this is the new incentive that we have in the investment code, and we think it will incentivize immensely companies to carry out exploration, thereby contributing more to the geological information that we very much need to develop further. On the issue of infrastructure, there are two layers of infrastructure. The first layer of infrastructure is at the national level, where mine operators require to move around the country, move their material around the country. And so we talked about the road network within Rwanda, which is very, very good and reaches far deep into the rural communities where mine operations are. The second aspect of that domestic infrastructure is electricity, as well as access to water for processing purposes. So this is very secure and well done, and we assure operators to have access to this. The second layer of infrastructure is for international trade. And I think, Lord Popat, that's where your question concentrates. How does one move mineral materials from Rwanda to the international markets? Currently, we are using 2 international ports. The shortest one goes to Dar es Salaam, which is the port in Tanzania. Another one, which is slightly longer, but equally effective, is through Uganda and Kenya to the port of Mombasa. Both ports are extremely effective and have been working at improving their scale and scope to make sure that they can handle a lot more cargo. What we are working on now is a railway network that connects Rwanda to Tanzania through the 2 ports, the port of Tanga and the port of Dar es Salaam. So this railway network is a project now under consideration. We have an agreement in principle between the 2 countries, and there have been fundraising campaigns to raise financing for this project. In the long run, this is what will ensure a lot more tonnage. In the short term, what we've been doing is to reduce some of the bottlenecks that often delay movement of cargo. So within the framework of our East African community, but also within the bilateral relations of different countries, we've been ensuring that the so-called non-tariff barriers that sometimes slow down movement of cargo are removed so that international trade cargo can move from one part of our country to another part of a neighboring country unhindered, moving smoothly across the transport corridors. So we think that all these are going to help in reducing transportation costs. Obviously, as we continue processing and add value, then it begins to make a lot more sense to export through air cargo. And with the international reach of Rwanda and other international airlines coming to Rwanda, cargo freight is increasingly also being used for the movement of minerals, particularly higher value minerals and processed minerals as well.
Great, thanks, Francis. And we just picking up what you just said about cargo flights. Now, Rwanda does have a flight to New York as well, directly, doesn't it? China, India, and UK. Am I right?
To the US, not yet. Okay. But it's before COVID hit, there was already a route secured to New York City. It has stalled, but it's still a project in the making. Obviously, through London Heathrow, this will become a single stop and continue. Yes, but to China, yes. To India, yes, and to almost virtually everywhere in Africa and Europe. Yes.
Thanks, Francis. Just going back on the tax incentive, Francis, it is common practice throughout the Western world that when companies make investment in plant and machinery, they get 100% capital allowances. Now we accept the fact, don't mind paying 30% tax on profits, which is fine, but will this capital allowance be allowed because it's a huge sum of investment?
Oh, yes, absolutely. There's no question about that. There is up to 100% depreciation of capital investments. And moreover, knowing that some of the capital equipment are imported from outside, there is also zero tariff on the importation of equipment and technology. Yes, absolutely. So the principle we use is that we do not tax investment. Investment is for production, and any taxes that accrue come out of production, but not at the stage of investment. So whether it's equipment, whether it's machinery or the facilities put into investment, we make sure that there is no tax associated with those.
Now, Francis, Rwanda is an amazing place and ranked very high in terms of ease of doing business. And talking to some UK companies here, you know, by you doing all the hard work that you've done in making Rwanda the hub for value added, because there's large number of mineral resources in neighboring countries. So tell us more about your discussion and debates with the East African countries, you know, looking Rwanda as a place where they can add value to their raw material with a view to export eventually.
You're right, Lord Popat. You know, we subscribe to the Africa Mining Vision, which has three major principles. One is that African minerals should add value to the domestic economies so that they become spin-offs for generating not only jobs, but industrial development. Number two, the Africa Mining Vision mobilizes regional countries to come together so that you can have projects that can operate at large enough scale to compete with international competitors. Number three, the Africa Mining Vision mobilizes African countries to make sure that the natural resources we have create jobs, employment, and provide additional income to the countries to raise our well-being. It's on that basis that Rwanda has been aspiring to create a regional hub within the East and Central Africa. And so the processing facilities that we have put in place with partnership of private companies is exactly to contribute towards realizing the Africa Mining Vision objective of value addition and beneficiation. So we are in discussions with our regional neighbors to make sure that there can be unhindered movement of mineral resources for purposes of processing and value addition. What we have to be mindful about is the fact that we are operating in a region has in the past had a bad name associated with conflict minerals. And as a result, we are investing heavily in ensuring traceability of minerals so that you don't create a loophole where conflict minerals can get into the pipeline of being processed and exported. And so the traceability program is now applicable to all the minerals, and to also make sure that that regional countries also get benefits. We are working towards harmonizing policy, including tax policy, so that you can make minerals move through formal channels. You know, when there is a difference in policy, particularly tax policy, minerals tend to move from regionals of high concentration of taxes to lower concentration taxes and all that. So it's one approach. Lastly, each country has been putting in place mechanisms using law enforcement, using regulatory agencies to make sure that we are putting a foot on the ground against any illegal mineral trading and mineral processing activities, so that there is strong credibility and due diligence of the operators in this sector. Yeah, but in the end, this is the only way to realize the Africa Mining Vision through regional collaborations.
Yeah, just going back on the automation, you know, the self-driving trucks, this will reduce the number of jobs created by the mines. There will be a need to manage the expectation of local people. What support can the government of Rwanda provide to mining companies to manage these expectations?
So modern technologies in mining operations are at different levels of sophistication. There are some mines around the world that are currently at the stage where automation and self-driving trucks is the norm. And indeed, where that happens, there is a clear risk of crowding out some jobs, particularly with drivers and others. In our region, the level of modernization and use of technology has not reached that level of sophistication yet where we are using automation. Moreover, the mines that we are operating are not at the level of risk, including depth, that require automation of that scale. We are still operating mines which are near surface. We are still operating mines whose safety can be maintained even with the use and the employment of human beings or people. So the combination of equipment and people is very important for increasing safety and efficiency, but it's not yet at the stage where technology is displacing people and replacing their jobs. We want more technology, we want more equipment and machinery to increase efficiency and safety, but we are not yet at a level where we have to worry that it is taking jobs that people should be doing themselves.
Great. In fact, Francis, how about the land acquisition from local people?
So that's a very important question. Anywhere where mining operation takes place, it's in combination with other economic activities. And in Rwanda, we have a fairly well-developed land tenure system where the right to land by individuals is very strong and well respected. And so as a result, where mining operations require to be extended on private land, there is protection of the individual owners of land to be fairly compensated. And so the private land operators are required to be compensated where mines are going to operate. Now, a lot of mines are operating in fairly remote areas, some of which is publicly owned land, but also a lot of which is not being used for active economic activities. In that case, the tenant might be government of Rwanda, and then it's done under long-term lease, and that reduces direct costs to the mine operators.
Thank you, Francis. I've got 4 minutes. I've got 2 questions, and then I just want to summarize, and maybe you can do the summary as well. Just give us an update on the projects in pipeline at the moment. You know, when we had this conference in October, there were some projects already started.
Okay, so as you know, Lord Popat, the government of Rwanda does not operate in the actual mining and exploitation of minerals. We act as regulator and we incentivize private operators. And so currently there are a number of pipeline projects that private companies are developing at different levels of exploration, exploitation, and processing. If I were to start with exploration, there are a number of projects that are deeply in exploration, whether it's at drilling level or at the geochemical testing of samples. I'm particularly excited about projects that are focusing on lithium, rare earth elements, as well as tantalum projects. Some of these, I want to mention companies. Some of these companies that are operating have origins in Europe, and they are leveraging some of the recent European Commission's revision of the critical minerals list. And I think there is a budget and resources that have been identified for European companies to identify areas where they can source these materials for the development of European industries. I have to say, this has created an opportunity that has channeled investment into our country. And I would encourage listeners and businesses attending this summit to also see how that resource that the European Union is providing to link with investments in Rwanda, particularly because our minerals are technology minerals, they are battery minerals, they are rare earth elements and rare earth minerals, all of which are in the European Union's critical minerals list, and we are looking to partner in supplying that need that the Europeans have identified.
Sure. Francis, my last question, I think you more or less answered that. How prepared is Rwanda to manage COVID-19, and how prepared is the mining sector in particular? So I think it's in your presentation here, so I'm quite happy with that response. And from what you said earlier, there hasn't been a single case in the mining sector as such. But we are well placed to assist and work in partnership with Rwanda. Our extensive mining experience, 4 out of 6 UK mining companies are quoted on London Stock Exchange. We are the largest provider of finance throughout the world. So we look forward to working, as London is a traditional home for, the mining sector anywhere. So we look forward to working. The purpose of today was that I wanted, as I said earlier, I wanted the momentum to carry on. And if you don't mind, I'll be writing to all the chief executives of mining companies. I'll send you a copy so you know who I've written to. And we'll send them your slide, which Hussein has given us, Hopefully, Hussein, you can give it a colored version because what I've got is black and white, just to keep this momentum going. But Francis, one more question, which obviously some of my colleagues did ask me to ask you, looking ahead to CHOGM, as it's known, the Commonwealth Conference, which will be held in Kigali, and we are all excited for the next step for Rwanda in this journey. The UK, as a Commonwealth chair in office, will hand over to our chairmanship to our good friend, President Kagame of Rwanda, to drive the Commonwealth agenda for 2 years. Trade is one of the 5 key themes identified by the government of Rwanda for their CHOGM. And much as I hope this conference has been, I see CHOGM 2021 as a further springboard to push for greater investment in Rwanda, greater investment in Africa, and greater trade across Commonwealth and global markets. I truly hope the Rwandan mining sector, which will continue to develop, grow, and prosper through this new investment. So I thought I'd make a small statement, which I've been given by our senior civil servants, because it's there's some excitement about CHOGM in Rwanda. And now we'll be able to fly from Heathrow and not Gatwick, so that makes all the difference. But thank you for your time, and maybe you want to say a few words. Hussein might want to say something as well.
Thank you very much. I must express my appreciation to you, Lord Popat, but also to the organizers of the Africa Arab Mining Summit in London that we have participated in before. A great platform to share our opportunities for the mining sector in Rwanda and in Africa in general, and always honored to be given this opportunity to speak at it. Now, with respect to London, obviously it's a very special place for us, and as headquarters of the Commonwealth, which we are hosting next year. We've been ready to host the Commonwealth member countries now since early this year. We are still ready to host the Commonwealth members next year. As you know, on the sidelines, we also have the Commonwealth Business Forum, which we are actively participating in and in organizing. In that forum, There is a session that has been earmarked for the mining sector, where we are going to be co-hosting with the organizers, and we are very much looking forward to continue this discussion and to showcase additional projects that members of the Commonwealth and the world at large can participate in mining in Rwanda. So Lord Popat, you are a big champion of the Commonwealth of East Africa, and you are the bridge for trade between the United Kingdom and this region. We are looking forward very much to have you here next year, and indeed to continuing this dialogue as you communicate with the various CEOs around the United Kingdom. Please keep up the flag flying, keep the flame hot and bright, and always a pleasure to see you in this partnership. Thank you.
Thanks.
Likewise, I have one behind me here as well.
I can see it. I can see President Kagame's picture and yours as well. Fantastic.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Well, all that's left is to thank really Honourable Francis really for your time and for your superb presentation, and really for your such a strong command of the industry in your country. It's so refreshing and fantastic really for the conference to have such amazing content on offer, and we really appreciate your time to do that and to update everybody about what's going on in Rwanda. Lord Popat, thank you very much indeed for making your time available to interview Honourable Francis, and we really look forward to more developments in the Rwanda mining sector. We can't meet in London, but hopefully we will next year, which point we can be shaking hands. But for now, we'll just give a virtual round of applause to both of you, and thank you very much indeed for joining Arab African Mining. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Lord Popat, just on the point of the video, we'll be very happy to make a copy of that available to you, and you can share that with members of your trade delegation or anyone else who would like to watch that. And of course, the same for you too, Honourable Francis. We'd be delighted to do that as well. So thank you very much once again.
Thanks, Hussein. Cheers. Cheers, Francis. See you then.
All the best. Thank you. Bye.